welcome to Unskippable Episode 100.
After 2 years of doing this show, one question we get asked a lot is, when are you guys going to run out of games to use? And while we don't think we ever will, it's a legitimate concern.
And so we prepared this, the Unskippable Guide to making a cutscene both cinematic and compelling.
Follow these easy steps and you too can have your game featured here on The Escapist.
Because your game is such an in-depth story, it's important to keep the player up to speed on everything. Don't show, tell.
The fine tradition of the opening credits scroll combines all the best parts of a video game and a book.
And if you're afraid the player won't feel like reading, try adding an overly dramatic narrator.
The forces that can change our destinies forever.
And the other, the underworld.
The armies of the Elector Counts grew weary from constant war.
Walls of spirit wrapped in walls of fire.
In fact, if you have a narrator, you don't even need to use real words.
And if attention span is a concern, use snippets of text.
But if none of that works for you and you want them to really focus on the text, remove all other distractions like sound effects or music.
Fully animated cinematics are expensive and take time, so feel free to put a Ken Burns effect on some concept art.
I mean, you've already paid for someone to draw it, might as well use it.
Heck, players will pay extra for art books full of this stuff. They love watching slow pans across it before they play. You're really doing them a favor.
Now, sometimes you might want to get fancy with bloom effects and shifting focus, but often, less is more.
Then one day my father showed me a set of plans and explained to me what they were.
Oh, and make sure you add overly dramatic narration here as well.
To the darkness they returned, twisted and cursed by their own corruption.
Threaten the very fabric of the universe.
Now that your intro is done, it's time to set the scene.
Video games are an escape, so invent your own fantastical calendar system and let the player know when the game takes place on it. With no frame of reference for when that is or why you're telling them, they can't help but be drawn in.
Space Date 10.
It is year 12 of the after-trial era.
It's January, in the year 1149 of the Lansheim calendar.
Is it the past? Is it the future? Only you will know.
That's the when taken care of, but what about the where?
If you're stuck for ideas, just go to a place we like to call Not Europe. It's a popular choice.
They went so far as to invade our nation, the Republic of Ameria.
To set up some great atmosphere, shots of the moon are always excellent, especially things silhouetted in front of it.
But the real moon doesn't cooperate and is entirely too small, so make sure your moon is at least 500 times larger.
The goal here is to create a moon so big that, if real, the Earth would have been long ago torn apart by tidal forces.
To support your moon, increase atmosphere further with a liberal application of crows. We don't know why crows have become the standard for vaguely creepy symbolism in cinematics, but just trust us on this. Crows are the way to go. The more crows, the better.
How you structure your scene is up to you, but if it's a first-person game, starting in first person is a great idea. But you don't want the player messing things up for you, so put them in a scripted vehicle sequence. Remember, it worked in Half-Life 1, and your game is at least as good as that.
And don't limit yourself to cars. Trucks, boats, and alternative transport methods will be just as compelling.
Now, it's important to remember that the player is stupid, so if you have any really crucial information you need them to know, have characters in the game ask the same kind of idiotic questions the player would ask if they were there.
What's a girl doing out here?
Girl? Are you talking about me?
You came by helicopter, didn't you?
What in the hell? What is this? What's going on?
The gay bulg blew a hole in the ground, and now we're in this cave. Anything else obvious you'd like pointed out?
Cave?
And if you can't think of any stupid questions, just repeat the last thing that was said in the form of a question.
Oh, my shit's been laundered. Laundered? I bet you're using an older generation of nanomachines.
Older generation.
And finally, it's fun to end your scene with a sense of danger. Even though the player knows the main character is on the box and in all the marketing for the game, that doesn't mean they're safe.
While shooting works, get creative. Try disease, being bucked off a horse, or falling from a great height.
And if that doesn't work, it's time to bring out the big guns, namely, an explosion.
Got some action! Look at the new guy, he's...
You'd be surprised how resilient your characters can be.
And if all else fails, cover them in lava.
But, as with all things, simple can often be best.
That was the first time I died.
So we hope that helped, and we look forward to lots of wonderful cinematics in the coming years.
Well, maybe look forward is too strong.
Dread?
Yeah.